So we're getting really experimental with the content here, reading and reacting to all the different pieces of news in the NHL today. Starting out with a signing, we had ourselves the Nashville Predators signing the dotted line with Michael McCarron. It's a 2-year, $1.8 million contract beginning in 2024-2025. So the AAV is $900,000, and for Michael McCarron, this is, of course, if you're a Canadiens fan, a former Hab, and some of the replies to this tweet go out there and pretty much ask the question, why? I mean, the first reply says, oh yeah, look, the Predators are fixed, and it's a gif of putting tape over a cracked wall. Sydney goes out there and says, why? We technically don't need him. Don't get me wrong, I like him, but do we really need him? I want a Tommy Novak extension. So there are some people going out there and asking, why Michael McCarron? Why Michael McCarron? What does this guy have to offer? And look, I mean, McCarron has 13 points in 42 games played this season. He hasn't been that bad, on pace for about 22 points on the year, and 125 penalty minutes too. He's been more so of what he's always been. A physical, bottom-tier guy who's getting himself a payday, which is good to see. Right now he's making $775,000, so the extension, which will see him making $900,000 a year till the end of 2026, I'm pretty sure. That's pretty good. Good for Michael McCarron to go out there and get the bag as a former Montreal Canadien. We cannot forget about his days with the Laval Rocket and the Habs. Initially, he was a Canadiens first-round pick too, which is kind of a fun trivia fact for a lot of Habs fans in the area. But he has been in Nashville the past few years. He's been all right, fairly decent, sometimes in the AHL, sometimes in the NHL, but now he's securing his future by signing a 2-year extension with the Preds. You could go out there and ask the question whether or not this is really appropriate, whether or not the Predators are building their team in the right way, considering the guys that they have, considering the guys that they might be trading away. We've seen all the rumors about that one UC Saros potentially being on the move, and Yaroslav Askarov taking over the reins as the number 1 soon. And then, of course, there are some other guys that you could toss out there, different contracts at different lengths that could be seen as valuable on the trade market. Alex Carrier's name has been tossed around in a lot of trade rumors the past few days, so we'll have to keep an eye out on the Predators to see what's going on over there. But this is just one of the 3 pieces of news that I wanted to talk about in this video. Second piece of news, we had ourselves a waiver claim. The Pittsburgh Penguins have claimed forward Matthew Phillips from the Washington Capitals, and this is a very, very interesting story. Because if you've been following the Calgary Flames for a few years, you would have known that Matthew Phillips was one of the top prospects in this organization. 6th-round pick back in 2016, but the problem with Phillips was that he's only 5'7", 141. He's a small guy, and even though he was small, he was still dominating the AHL. 68 points in 65 games with the Stockton Heat in 21-22, and then 76 points in 66 games with the Wranglers last season. He has been a beast in the AHL level for quite some time, and a lot of Flames fans, especially when Daryl Sutter was manning the bench behind that roster, a lot of Flames fans are like, why are they not giving him his chance? Why are they not calling him up? Why is Daryl Sutter refusing to play young guys? This is bias, this is terrible, this is not good. Matthew Phillips is an NHL talent to be that is not getting his chops, and we're not giving him the opportunities he needs to show off that offensive flair at the NHL level. He only had 2 games played with the Flames and 0 points. So you could say there was a lot more to be desired out of this young player's profile, who was small, who had all this offensive potential. He just had so many things in his game that made you want to cheer for him. If this guy was like 6'2", 6'3", and putting up the same amount of numbers, like sure, people would have liked him, but the fact that he's 5'7", 141 makes this an underdog story that we could all cheer for. So when Phillips was going over to the Washington Capitals, he refused to re-sign with the Calgary Flames. He signed a contract with the Caps. A lot of Flames fans were saying, okay, this is going to be the opportunity that he needs. This is going to be Matthew Phillips going out there and really putting his name on the map. Because if the Capitals are able to give him that stage, then he's going to perform. And then, unfortunately, he did not. He had 27 games played, 5 points, a goal, and 4 assists, and he got placed on waivers yesterday, only to get claimed by the Pittsburgh Penguins, who apparently still see value in his profile, which of course is why they went out there and claimed him. A lot of Flames fans are kind of responding to just saying, okay, well, maybe Daryl Sutter wasn't at fault. Maybe Matthew Phillips just does not have the chops to stick around at the NHL level. Who really knows? But the first reply goes out there and says, hey, Sidney Crosby is going to make a nobody into the next generational talent. And that's a funny thing to say, mostly because Sidney Crosby has kind of been known over the past few years to making guys that aren't really like the best players in the world some of the best gosh darn players in the world. Chris Kunitz is the immediate example that comes to mind. Even some of the other guys that have rotated around Crosby's wing over the years. Of course, Jake Gensel is really, really good, but even some of the other guys, the Connor Sherrys, the Brian Rusts, even at the 2016 World Cup of Hockey with Team Canada, Brad Marchand wasn't really as much of a star back then. So Sidney Crosby, if there's anybody that's going to be able to make Matthew Phillips of all people an extraordinary hockey player, it's having Sidney Crosby as his center. But we'll see whether or not that actually happens if the Penguins decide to put Phillips in a position to play with one of those top guys. But for now, this is one of the most interesting waiver claims, I feel, of the 2023-2024 season, as the Pittsburgh Penguins are getting themselves a guy whom a lot of Flames fans were super high on just a year ago. But that is not even the final piece of news I wanted to talk about in this video. We also had another waiver situation as Marcus Kallionkieli clears from the Vegas Golden Knights, and because of this, he'll have his contract terminated. No one new on waivers today. Now, you might go out there and ask the question, okay, what the hell's going on here? Who is Marcus Kallionkieli? Well, he's one of the most interesting guys, I feel, that has been a part of an NHL system this year. He's Brazilian-Finnish, which is a crazy combo. Have not seen anybody who is Brazilian and Finnish together, and he's currently playing for Kiko Espoo in the Mestis. This season, he was actually on loan to 2 different teams whilst being signed by the Vegas Golden Knights. He was in the Polish League, and then, of course, he's in the Mestis, the second-tier Finnish League. This comes after being a part of the Savannah Ghost Pirates in the ECHL, and then as far back as the Henderson Silver Knights in the WHL in 21-22. This guy has had one of the craziest development paths, going from the Finnish junior scene to the USHL, WHL, Finnish junior scene, AHL, WHL, ECHL, Poland, Mestis. He has been all over the place, this Kallionkieli. And at 22 years old, 6'2", 194 left-handed guy drafted in the 5th round by the Vegas Golden Knights in the 2019 draft. This certainly is one of the most unique player profiles. But, as it was talked about yesterday from Elliot Friedman, the reason he was put on waivers was for the purpose of a contract termination. So, whether or not Kallionkieli was in a position where he felt he wasn't really being given an opportunity with the Vegas Golden Knights, he was part of their ECHL team last season, but this year he has been only in Europe, so not a part of the AHL's Henderson Silver Knights, not a part of the ECHL team. Whether or not he felt there was a new opportunity or a better opportunity available to him, that is up in the air, but that seems to be why this entire situation went down. Again, as we've talked about, when it comes to contract terminations, you almost never see teams just terminating contracts of guys they don't like. It's either A, the player commits a really bad crime and the team is wanting to distance themselves from that, so they're able to terminate the contract under the professional standards thing that exists within the clause, or the player himself is like, hey, sorry, it's not really working out. I kind of want to sign somewhere else. And then the team's like, okay, well, we're not really using you all too much anyway, so here, we'll put you on waivers for the purpose of contract termination. Kallionkieli cleared, so no other team went out there and acquired him, but now he's a free agent and he'll be free to sign wherever he wants. So, this has been our update. We have ourselves a Nashville Predators signing Michael McCarron, getting the dotted line signed. We have ourselves a waiver claim, Pittsburgh, from the Washington Capitals, and then we have a prospect, Marcus Kallionkieli, getting his contract terminated by the Vegas Golden Knights. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I will say this is a very experimental video because the Predators, the Capitals, the Penguins, and the Vegas Golden Knights, these are none of my main teams, so I'm very interested in seeing what the engagement is going to be like for this kind of video. If this one doesn't even pop off, it taps off at maybe 1.3k views, then I think that's pretty fair, considering the fact that we're not actually talking about some of the hottest teams that normally gain traction on my channel. But this will be a fun experiment. We'll see what happens. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about these 3 pieces of news. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.